Shalom. As y'all see on the screen, got a fair use disclaimer. Shalom. First off, I want to start up by saying all praises, honor, and glory is due unto Yahweh by Shema Shai, by Shema Kakadash. All praises to the world calls God, whose true name in Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem in the name of Yahweh Shai being the name but only begotten Son. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to those who elect preaching word and truth and sincerity. And our brother Tazabah, the Great Millstone Arizona camp. Lord will with another video to edify. And I'm going to hop right into this. We can get all into this because this is Esau's ploy to set a net, set a snare. So let's play this.
Hawaii is poised to become the first state in the nation to charge a tourism fee specifically to fund efforts to mitigate climate change. Governor Josh Green spoke to our Daryl Hoff about his plan to increase taxes on visitors.
Governor Green first pitched the green fee on tourists 3 years ago during his campaign. Now he says there will be hundreds of $millions available for climate mitigation projects without driving the tourists away.
This is the money that we've been waiting for to deal with climate change.
The money could be enough to restore beaches or buy out threatened shoreline properties, harden infrastructure like roads and utilities to resist increasingly powerful storms, and restore greenery in forests ravaged by neglect or drought and now fuel for wildfires.
So I'm grateful, like I said, I'm grateful that the legislature, after working through this for 2 years, has given me a bill which I will sign.
Lawmakers were concerned about the weakening tourism business, so they reduced the size of the tax increase for hotels and vacation rentals.
We were worried that the industry wouldn't be able to handle that big of a jump, and we also didn't want too much negative press, globally or even, nationally, about having extremely high tourism taxes at a time of economic uncertainty for a lot of people on the mainland.
Lawmakers agreed to raise the tax on hotels and vacation rentals from 9.25% to 10%. They would lay a new 11% tax on the value of cruise ship cabins while in Hawaii ports. They estimate that would bring in between $85 and $100 million a year dedicated to mitigation and adaptation to address the climate emergency.
There's win over win over win for our state.
Another compromise was not to earmark the money for a special fund or particular agency or specific type of project.
So we've asked the governor to us every session about how the money should.
And there you have Esau putting basically a carbon tax. That's really what this is. This whole green tax is nothing more than a carbon tax. And they're starting it with Hawaii, but they said this is going to be something that's going to be a model for the rest of the country. And the average everyday person that doesn't think these things through isn't aware about, Esau's plans as far as geopolitical plans, them trying to sit here and actually shut down everything, put the people into a certain net and framework to where they can corral the people. They look at this like it's something good, but really, you putting taxes on people coming through, that's going to shrink the amount of people that actually come through. There's some people that can barely make it there for a so-called vacation, right? There's some people that can barely make it there for a vacation. And what is that going to mean in a so-called state that is heavily dependent on tourism, where job insecurity there is already high as hell? Because really, if you remember that movie, In Time, right? Let's see if I can find it. Right, this movie In Time, right? Everybody in the movie couldn't move around outside of that city because they didn't have the time. And their time was basically, their currency was time. There were too many taxes, too many fees associated with it. They weren't able to make up enough time by how they went to work, and they were basically locked into one area. And that's exactly what this whole carbon tax, this green tax bill is. It's landlocking the people. because they didn't review what that was going to look like for these people in Hawaii to fly out. Is that going to be an increased tax on them? This is Daniel 8:25. It says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And this is a policy that's increasing his craft. How to securely and steadily basically landlock the people into a certain area by taxes. It says, and through his policy he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. See? By peace he's destroying many. He's sitting there labeling this as a conservation tax, to where they'll be able to sit here and pay for all these infrastructure and stuff like that. Well, the people are already paying taxes. Why would you need to put more taxes on to pay for infrastructure? It doesn't make sense. It says, also he shall stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand, meaning these devils are literally going to turn the fight onto the Lord's people and against the Lord himself. And the Lord's going to break them without hand. Remember, when you go to the book of Revelation, it said the Lord not to lift up hand, nor instrument of war, man. He didn't have to move a finger. He was able to just break these people down. And that's what's going to happen, man. But this is nothing more than him setting a snare, setting a net. This is I think I wanted one of Proverbs, I think. This is Psalm 64. And I started one. It says, hear my voice, O power, in my prayer. Preserve my life. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Right? And who is the enemy? Esau, Edom. He's the chief enemy. All the heathen are our enemies. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection, right? The violent uprising of the workers of iniquity. All these plans, all these little policies and laws coming out. I mean, just look at all the laws around deportation, how they basically blurred those lines so that they can snatch up regular everyday citizens. Right? You got to ask the Lord to hide you from these things, man. If David had to pray in this fashion, what do you think we're going to have to do? Who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not, because they don't believe that these actions that they're doing has any real recompense with the Lord. This is why they shoot in secret and they don't fear. They set up all these policies and they believe, like the scripture says. He says, we offend not, right? That's what it said. Jeremiah 15:7. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against Yahweh, the habitation of justice, even Yahweh, the hope of their fathers. And this is how Esau thinks. He thinks because we went off, whatever he does is okay, because these niggas are still going off. But he didn't count that the remnant was here. They encourage themselves in the evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say who seeth them. right? And this is one of many laws, many policies he's using to push forth this oppressive, wicked agenda in order to lock the people down, man. And it's gonna grow. You're gonna see the tax hit California. You're gonna see the tax hit Dallas. I mean, we'll see. Dallas is kind of one of those rebellious states. You're gonna see the tax hit Florida, New York, all the major, tourist hubs of America. It's gonna hit, and we're gonna see that it's gonna grow outside of those, and it's gonna bring in a harsh clamping down on people just through the monetary system. Right? It's a snare. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. This is a deep plan, man. Right? Because he's getting ready to fulfill his lot in that much wicked Second Ezra 11:40 says, and the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past. What was that fourth beast that came? Right, the Roman Empire. And had power over the world with great fearfulness and over the whole compass of the earth. Now, did the Roman Empire have control over the whole compass of the earth? No, but the revived Roman Empire did, which is Babylon the Great of America. Right? And over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression, in so long time dwelt upon the earth with deceit. And that's America to the fullest, man. They've lied, stealing, and killed. They use the monetary system. They robbed the people of their goods, all through the sakes of sitting there talking about a pandemic, which was a seizure, the biggest seizure of wealth in America ever. That they were sitting there being able to tell people, no, you don't need to pay your rent, which killed a large amount of the upper middle class. In the middle class that had these properties, it was destroying everything. Right? But he's getting ready to rule over the people with much wicked oppression. This is the plan. Their plan is not to have the people going to wherever they want. Their plan is to lock this place down. We're going to see how this stuff pans out. It's going to be very interesting how much this increased, because a 10% tax ain't cheap, man. That's huge. But keep your eyes out. More and more of these harsh measures, more of these austerity measures, more of these taxes are going to put pushed out on the people, and it's going to give the people more to revolt on. Lord willing to edify them and say, call all Yahweh Shem Shah Bashem Rakakadash. Shalom.